Alright, today is June 27th. Thought I'd give an update because, first of all, not really much has been happening. Things are just growing and progressing really well, but I started a new job, so I've been kind of busy. So, anyways, this is how the grape is doing. It's got some bird poop on it, but it's actually finally grown long enough to go into the fencing here a little bit, but it seems to kind of have a mind of its own. See how the beans are doing. They're really popped up there now, and the same for the cucumbers. They're starting to look pretty awesome. And Rocky, he always looks awesome. Right, Rick? Anyways, these tomatoes, they look a little sparse. For some reason, I've already had some problems with some spots on this side. Now, I don't know if it's because there's no cover back there, and this is where we had tomatoes last year, and that's blight is what eventually took them, or septoria leaf spot. I'm not really sure how to tell the difference. I've treated these twice now with a peroxide spray, and I've got to come back out here with baking soda and see if we can keep it from coming back. I mean, you can see that there's some leaf spots, or hopefully you can see that. I mean, I've pulled off, I guess, the worst of it, and I've just tried to saturate and spray, but like almost all of the tomatoes on this side have some sort of spotting somewhere. Now, it's not terrible, it's not like it's killing the plant or anything like that, but eventually, you know, it won't like that too much, I don't think. Look at this little tiny Charlie Brown tomato tree. He's got the biggest tomato so far. I mean, that guy's the biggest one. All these, I mean, there's a bunch of tomatoes. These ones are the mortgage lifters, and they take absolutely forever to ripen, but once they ripen, they're delicious. They're slightly sweet. They got kind of a orangey pink sort of flesh. They're really cool. Some of them get kind of goofy shaped though, but you can see we got a bunch of cherries. Kind of not real big yet, but they're getting there. Pretty excited about that. Can't wait to have our own cherry tomatoes again. These ones are called Sweetie tomatoes, and they're really good. The zucchini's doing really well. Good, I had to kill earlier a vine borer. He was flying around this guy. Unfortunately, I took off my flip-flop to kill it. And there are a couple leaf casualties, and that one even had a little flower bud on it, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But we've been checking, well, I should say Jake and Gabby have been checking every day for eggs, and they come out here and flip over all the leaves and look for squash bugs and stink bugs and anything else that might be on all these. Let's see. We've already started pulling some of the banana peppers. Those are really good. Of course, we've got a few red bells that are starting to grow there. Those guys are still, you know, they're getting there, but this guy's still yellow. Don't know what's wrong with him. No idea. Because he came from the same seed stock as these guys. And he was fine when he was in his, you know, little cup that I started him in. There was only those ones were kind of small, but I don't know. Oh wait, no, this comes from the same seed stock as these guys. Because these ones are California Wonder peppers. And they're doing really good. Some of these, I don't know, will make it to full adulthood. But I think we got a good shot on quite a few of them. Anyways, we already pulled off the biggest pepper thought I saw another squash bug. We already pulled off the biggest pepper that was on here. He was like almost twice the size of this guy, so they're doing really, really good. And I don't know why these ones are little curly cues. Most of them aren't. Most of them are straight, little straight up and down guys. Here's one of the Corno de Toros. He's probably ready. And then there's another one up top. We got quite a few of these guys. It took them a while, and some of them, you know, got bigger. I'm still not 100% sure how big exactly they're supposed to get. So we're leaving these two plants alone for right now because I'm pretty sure they didn't pollinate each other, and I want to save the seeds from these guys, so I'm going to let them go red. You can see there's lots of peppers going, and we pulled off a jalapeno from here yesterday to see how hot they were at that size, and they were very, very hot. So we might have to pick them a little smaller, or just learn to use them better, because we've never really been much into spicy stuff. It's really mostly just for salsa. Boy, that wind is really picking up. Hopefully you're not a bad little moth guy, but most of them are, so probably. Anyways, the celery is getting really big. The carrots have finally started to really get big. I tried to transplant some of them. They're kind of tough to transplant, and some of them didn't make it. But I have quite a few that actually did. So next year, we'll just get like some way of, like some sort of a seeder or something, because the seeds are so small. Oh, wind's really blowing, and the sun is going behind some clouds. Okay, so you can see the onions here. You can see where my dog's eating dirt right there for whatever reason, I don't know. But I've decided to keep cutting the tops off because I've done research, and it seems like the consensus is that it does help, because I've seen people do side-by-side comparisons, and it does seem to help. That little watermelon is kind of sad. I don't know if it's because he's in this really wet spot where this hose kind of curls around, because the other ones are much bigger. You can see these San Marzano tomatoes, the plants, I have to keep cutting them and thinning them. They're so thick. I mean, it's like a bush in here, you know? And you can see the little tomatoes starting to form. So this is my little San Marzano paste tomatoes. And they're all starting to form in there. Really exciting. Lots and lots of flowers. Lots of little baby tomatoes. I cannot wait. Okay, mystery tomatoes, which some of them are doing really, really well. You can see some of them have lots of tomatoes starting, and others are a little further behind. But some of the plants, like this one, have just gone crazy, gotten huge. And he's got some tomatoes. Of course, these guys were the small ones that I planted at the beginning of the year. They were behind the rest because they came up secondarily in their cups. But they're catching up. They're slowly catching up. None of the ones over here have spots. So I'm hoping, obviously, to keep it that way. I can't rotate every year because I just don't have the garden space to just keep rotating out tomatoes. So my plan is to get a lot more of this fabric, but get the thicker stuff next year, and hopefully be able to completely cover the ground. And then hopefully also, I say hopefully a lot, but we'll have the mulch situation down pat. And I still will have to figure out like what to do. The onions, obviously, they can't really go in the fabric unless you cut a big hole for each one, which would just be weird. And the celery is kind of the same thing. And with celery, I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to be tying the greenery together or something. I have to look at that. I've never grown it, obviously, like most of these things. So here's the sweet potatoes. This is the one that still has just a single leaf. But he's surviving, so I guess he's doing all right. The rest, well, that one has a little bud at the ground. But the rest of them are looking like they're getting ready to start vining out. Here's the sugar pie pumpkins. And they look just beautiful. I was going to thin them to 1 pumpkin each, but my fear is that the vine borer might grab a plant or two. Like we might somehow miss the egg. And I don't want to lose an entire, look at that pretty butterfly. I don't want to lose the opportunity to have pumpkins because we missed an egg. The potatoes are also really picking up and they're doing great. And the red potatoes, meh, you know, we got 2, but I just saw a new one. Where's it? Right here. A new baby potato today. Finally coming up. So we'll have maybe a few little red potatoes. But for the most part, these are all russets. Which is fine, because that's what we use the most of anyways. Because we like to do fried potatoes and also French fries and mashed potatoes, and they're fine for all of those things. They're basically, you know, your all-purpose potato. But yeah, here's the other 2 sugar pie pumpkins. This one is kind of confusing to me because you can see there's like a color variation, sort of, almost a variegation. On these, they have like a silvery look to them, and they're all connected to this plant, but then this plant just has completely round, just plain green glossy leaves. So I don't know if they're actually the same pumpkin or not. They came from the same seed pack, but I don't know. I might get a mixture of that. And these are unfortunately the kind of pumpkins, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Starts with a P. Like these are Maximos. And these are like Peppos or something. I forget. I can't remember. But anyways, they're the same exact family as zucchini. So we may, if I save seeds from either the zucchini or the pumpkin, if they're flowering at the same time, then I might end up with a weird mixture of the 2. So I'm going to try to save the first fruits because I think the zucchini will probably fruit first, and I'm going to try to, or flower first. I'm going to try to save seeds from that separately, and then we'll see about the pumpkin. But the Maximos, which are the Jardales, the light blue pumpkins, those will not crossbreed with any of the others, so we're good on that. But yeah, I mean, look at all the green. It's looking beautiful. Looking beautiful. Okay, here's the ugly container garden. It's also doing pretty good. Got these little pumpkins growing in here. Again, they're the blue pumpkins, but that's the kind that my mom wanted the most, so I'm going to grow extra. I ended up cutting this mint down because it was being attacked by the 4-line plant bug. Like, nope, that's a fly. Oh, I was going to be mad for a second, but I'm not going to eat leaves that are all bug chewed if I can help it. Everything else is doing pretty good. This is only tomato still kind of standing up by itself. The rest are kind of fallen, but I'm just letting them do what they want to do. Because this area is just, you know, it's kind of a mess. Got raspberries in there and whatever these little flowers are. Alright, and you can see the broccoli and the kale is doing really well. Very large. We've been pulling off this kale and it's delicious. The only problem is it's not what the seed pack said. The seed pack said that this was blue curled Vates, I think it's called. And it's supposed to be a super curled kale. And it's not supposed to have thorns like a Russian kale, which it may be Russian kale, but this stuff has thorns. I mean, you have to cook it. You cannot eat it raw because its thorns will just poke the snot out of you, because I had a hard time when I was just peeling the leaves off the stems. You can see, unfortunately, there's all kinds of weeds and stuff growing in here. But after this year, I'll probably end up putting some sort of landscape fabric. Just look like this got chewed a little bit. There's a little bit of chewing going on in there. There's probably a Japanese beetle in here, if I had to guess. They can still kind of get in, but the cabbage looper really was the main thing to keep out, and I think this has worked really well for that so far. We had to kind of redo it because we had a bad windstorm come through, and this looks like a hole, but it's only a hole on the other side. Anyway, we had to do a slightly more permanent solution, so we'll fix it up, get it better next year probably. You see my pretty wildflowers. I took seed in the Gaillardia, and the little sage still has a little bit of purple flowers left, but everything's looking good. Strawberries are done. We got all of the berries off from it. We probably got about, I'd say probably 8 pints, I would guess. So now we just wait for the next flush of flowers to happen. We got to clean these out. I plan on getting some landscape fabric and trying to go just, kind of patchwork it together and then put mulch on top of it. So, because we're kind of sick of dealing with all these weeds in here, because that brings the tarnished plant bug, which our poor little plants do suffer from, and they cause all of our strawberries to be kind of funny looking. You can see I tied the branches down of this apple tree to try to help shape it a little bit better, I guess. It's so hard to know because I keep seeing all this conflicting sort of opinions and research on the subject. Some people say to just let it go because the apple tree knows best. Then other people say that if the branches aren't out like this, that they'll break whenever they get fruit on them. So I don't know, but it was way too upright, so I felt like it could probably benefit from having some branches go out. I don't know if I should cut this long guy off or not, but that guy's really tall. Okay, and I got some little lettuce growing in here. Yeah, I kind of sprinkled the seed around. Got probably at least 50% germination, but because I didn't sprinkle them thick, but there was definitely some in here and definitely some around here. Also, there's a little baby apple tree from seed. There's a couple other seeds in here that hopefully I've had to replace these two because this one like damped off, and for some reason that one never came up. So I don't know. It's this soil. I should have put something else in it. It's really too thick and hard. I mean, this one's like a mixture, and it's still like a lot stiffer than I'd like for it to be. What you doing, Rock? Okay, again, this guy is doing okay. He looks really rough up top, but his little leaves are recovering and turning green again, so there's hope for him. He actually looks like he's got a little bit of new growth on there too. Huh, that's good. Let's see, do we still have... Yeah, we still have one apple. None of the others made it, but there's just one little apple in there. It looks like he's only about an inch wide, but that's okay. He's a baby, so next year, hopefully. And I think I figured out that the spots on him, on both of them, is apple rust. I'm pretty sure cedar apple rust, which makes complete sense because there is a cedar tree right there. The only one around here, to my knowledge. Yeah, I don't know. Is this that Jacob's Ladder stuff? Yeah, I saw this the other day. It's really invasive, but I mean, these are weeds. So it's kind of nice to have something a little prettier, I guess, over there. Right, Rock? Come in. Well, here's a look at the garden from the outside as we're walking over here. Geez, these weeds need to be taken care of. It's just hard right now because our gas-powered weed whacker isn't working and our electric one won't reach. So it's really frustrating. And look at all these wild grapes. Like last year, this was mostly all raspberries. You can tell they're like fighting with the raspberries for this space. Jake came out here. Yeah, you can see the grapes all down there. I think you can see it. But Jake came out here and tried to make a path through there again. Because last year, that's where they went in to get raspberries. But yeah, these grapes are a little out of control. You can see the little mulberry tree, the little mulberry bush is doing good. I'll probably have to trim up some of those branches. Look how long that guy is. So we'll see. And I don't know what these flowers are. Some of them haven't opened yet, but they're so pretty when they open. I don't know what that is, but it's cool. I like it. And my poor little hickory trees. One has a little bit of growth at the top. The other has a little bit of growth at the bottom. I don't know what to do with them.